Good morning, mommies. So, um, for those of you who are not very familiar with me, I started on Facebook doing a journal for my mom, to help me, um, and so anyway, now I had to turn my Facebook off, and I'm doing YouTube videos now because certain reasons. But anyways, today is Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I go and pick up my father, and then from there, after I pick him up, I take him to my grandparents. We go check on my grandparents, and my grandparents are 90 and 87, I believe. And so, anyway, I go pick them up. I go pick up my dad, and then we go to my grandmother's. So, oops, sorry. So that's what I do, mommies, on Wednesdays. So that's where we're headed right now, um, to go and do that. Listening to some good music. But yeah, it's so weird when the kids go back to school because, all summer they're there in the house, and it's so weird when they go back to school. Uh, the house is just so quiet when they go back to school. It's craziness. But I used to be a single parent, and I raised my kids in California, and they still live out there. But of course they're older, 23, 27, and 28. And so I raised my kids as a single parent in California and just worked my ass off. My second ex-husband allowed me to stay home. So I was home with my stepkids, my three stepkids, Christopher, Ryan, and Julia, who I just adored. And now they are living in Kansas. And the only one, I think Julia's 16, Ryan's 18, and I think Chris just turned 22, something like that. So they live in Kansas, and I miss them terribly. I'm going to be able to see them pretty soon at my youngest daughter's wedding. So I'm really excited about that. I'm just so excited. The middle child, Ryan, keeps in touch with me. So I'm happy about that. Julia, she's still young, but hopefully when she gets of age, she'll look me up because her mom can't stand me. She still can't stand me. And we're both married to other people, and my ex-husband, that was her ex-husband, he's deceased. He died from alcohol poisoning. Poison of the liver, cirrhosis of the liver. He died. So anyway, that's that. Now my third husband, because I'll know I'm competing with Elizabeth Taylor, maybe I can have a shot at it now. But my third husband, I met him here in this state. He's born and raised from New Mexico. And so, yeah, both my ex-husbands were Californians. I met them there. Well, I finished growing up out there. I was a teenager growing up out there. My mother, it's crazy, insane, mommies, because I had already moved out of my parents. I graduated from high school, and then I moved in with my high school sweetheart he was my boyfriend all through high school. Going from the 8th grade into my freshman year, I had met him because I was a cheerleader and he was a football player. And yeah, he was my boyfriend all through high school. And I had already moved in with him after graduating. We had a one-bedroom little place, but um, what had happened is he had started hitting me in high school. And then I changed high schools, and then pendeja me, I'm just such an idiot because, we're young and naive and we do silly, stupid things. So I went back to him instead of marrying him because he wanted to get married. I went back to him. We moved in together. I lived with him. I was working full time. He was working for his dad because his dad owned his own construction company. And he cheated on me all the time while we were young. You know what I mean? I know it doesn't justify it, but we were young. And so he cheated on me several different times. Well, the last time he cheated on me, I caught him in the car that I had bought for graduation. And he took me back to our apartment and he beat I was bruised from my neck all the way down and my arms because with my arms I was trying to protect my face. And all through my high school years, mommies, I was 95 pounds. I know you won't believe that now with my 170-pound body now. But I was 95 pounds all through high school, and I was a cheerleader and all that jazz. So, he just, and so I waited for him to go to work, and I got all my things, and I moved out, and I moved back to my parents, and my mother sent me to go live with, because I was 17 or 18, my mother sent me to go live with an aunt in California that I didn't know. And so I finished growing up out in California and met both my husbands out in California, had my babies out in California, raised my babies out in California. And so it was my second husband that brought me back to New Mexico because he fell in love with New Mexico. So that's what happened, mommies. I don't know why I felt like I had to tell that story again this morning. But yeah, so now I'm living in New Mexico with my third husband and his two children, my two stepchildren. So that's what's going on. And I actually was not a homemaker. I worked for the hospital. I worked for a hospital. Well, I don't work there anymore, so I can actually say what hospital I worked for. I worked for UNMH. I was an intake clerk. I worked in the pediatrics department, urgent care and specialties clinics, and well child checks. I love my job there. I love my boss there, Cynthia Patriarcha. She was awesome. She still is awesome. I love her. And, but something happened there that I had to quit my job. I had to leave my job. And so I left my job. And my husband, although my husband, I was coming home so stressed out, not from pediatrics. I had transferred from pediatrics to radiology because I wanted to expand my horizons. And so I transferred over to radiology. And when I did that, I should have researched it more. But there were a lot of women that were coming in that were our breast cancer patients. And it was so difficult for me because my mother passed away from breast cancer. It was so difficult for me to deal with that. Even though I tried. So for a whole year, I tried to deal with it. And my husband just finally said, you're coming home so stressed out. You're not liking your job anymore. Because I love pediatrics. And so he said, why don't you just quit? I make enough money to take care of you, and this way you're home for the kids and all this other stuff. Thank God, because this senior registration was like 3 hours, mommies. 3 hours it took us to register our senior. But anyway, that's how I really became a homemaker here. And so I just do homemaker stuff. But I think I'm gonna have to get a job because yeah, now that the kids are getting older, I just have a lot more time on my hands. But anyways, mommies, I gotta get going because this YouTube is way different from Facebook. So I love you gals and have an awesome day. Mwah.